Hello, scrappy friends. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another edition of Keeping It Simple. Can you believe this is the 8th round of Keeping It Simple? Yep, that's right, 8. I love this series and I hope that you do too. And if this is your first time here, let me explain that when I do a Keeping It Simple series, I pick one topic and I do a mini series, so I'll post 3 videos. The next 3 videos you see on my channel will be in this series. And if you saw the thumbnail for this series this time, it is using the border making system. I love the border making system as much as I love this series, so why not combine them? So the border making system is actually one of Creative Memory's best-selling products. And that's because it also is very simple to use. It allows us to punch out 12 inches of a continuous border just using 3 pieces of equipment. So we have the arm, the housing, and then the cartridges. And the cartridges are so awesome and they're interchangeable. You buy only the ones that you love and that you're going to use, or there's a lot of collectors out there too. You can collect them all. So there is a wide variety of cartridges, and Creative Memories is constantly putting new ones out for us to enjoy. So over the next 3 videos, I will be doing some very simple page layouts, and each of the videos will incorporate 1 or 2 border making cartridges. Are you ready? Let's go. So as you can see, I'm going to use Passport to Adventure for my layout today, and I'll be creating a double page spread today. I want to use this gray and white, it's almost like a grid paper for my background today, but you'll see I have one full sheet 12 by 12, and then I have another 12 by about a little over 10.5 inches. So I'm going to need to find something to put across the top or bottom or both to create a full 12 by 12 sheet, but that's going to be my background for today. And then I'll bring in 2 other papers for my supporting colors to go with my theme for today. Okay, let's get cutting. The green will be the piece that I use on one side, and I'm hoping to have a chunk of it left over to take to the other side to make that second page the 12 by 12. So I do want to pay attention to the direction on my paper. And what I want to do is cut a 9.5 inch block. This is going to leave me with about 2.5 inches for the other side. And there we go. Here's my background paper laid out, and I'm going to bring in my 9.5 inch block, and I'm just going to place it right in about the center of this page over here. I do have this, which I'll be bringing over here, and I think it's going to be perfect. I'll have just enough. I could either put it at the bottom or the top, or cut it in half and use a little bit at the top and the bottom. So we'll come back to this page, but we're first going to continue with our left-hand page, because this is where I'm going to bring in the simple use of our border making cartridge. So today I'm going to use the Ancient Key cartridge, and all the cartridges insert the same way. We make sure the feet are facing out, and we just slide it in and click it in place. Very simple. And then we take our paper and we put it into the paper tray, and we're ready to punch. There's 3 different styles when it comes to cartridges for the system. This one I like to call an inset. Other advisors call it a knockout. I mean, I think we all have a different kind of term for this type of border that's going to come out once I punch it. I call this one inset because the print stays inside the paper, and then we have to trim it off. This other one I'm going to use today later on in the layout is an edge punch. So this one stays attached to just the edge. And then again, we do have to cut this one down to take it off the paper. Okay. And the third one is a chain style, which is exactly that. It goes in a chain, and I'm not going to use one of those today, but I have in several of my other videos. If you want to just type in border making cartridge in the search bar, and it should pull up a lot of videos that I have already done using border making cartridges. Okay, so we just line it up, click it in place, make sure our notches there match, and I'm gonna punch out 2 of these. So I'll put you on fast forward and I'll be right back. Okay, so like I was explaining, with the inset type border like this ancient key, it does need to be trimmed off the paper. I mean, you can use it on the paper like this, but for what I want to do today, I want to trim it down and use it as a strip. Now, one little trick with some of these, I like the width they have here. Let's turn it over and see if we can see. I like the width that came out of the punch. And by width, I mean this section right here. So I tried to get the same amount on the other side. And what I've noticed is if I turn my paper and I take the edge, the very edge of the print from the punch, and I put it to the edge of my gray mat right here, that usually gives me about the same distance they have here. But the great thing about this punch, and many others like it, is you could make this width here as big as you want. Okay, and there we go. And then what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna keep it very simple, and I'm just gonna run it from the top to the bottom of my page, going across the block that I put here to house my photos. So I'm doing photos of a trip that I took to Texas a couple years ago. And the funny thing is, I must really feel like the ancient key represents my trip to Texas, because this was probably like the 3rd time I'm using it. But I like it, and I think it really kind of accents my photos. And that's the tip I was going to mention to you, is that pick border cartridges that you feel are going to help support the theme or the event of your photos. I tend to pick very generic cartridges so that I could use them over and over. I'm not really big on the heavy theme ones. I do have some and I love them, but I don't get as much use out of them as I do with the more what I call generic ones. I'm going to kind of keep this off to the side a little bit and continue working on the left-hand side. Let me bring in my photos. So I have 6 photos for this layout, and I'm going to take 2 of them and put them on this side, and I will have to trim these, probably have to trim these down. I do want them to fit inside the block, and I'm willing to overlap them a little bit like that. Keeping them inside the block, I feel like I won't have to mat them. It kind of pops out and helps focus in on the photos. So let me just get these trimmed down. Okay, and then they're just going to go back in here like that. This side of the layout has room for another photo here if you wanted to. Since I don't have any other photos, I separated mine to where I have horizontal on one side and vertical on the other. That's the only way I made my split, to help me figure out how to move forward with my layout. So over here, I'm going to bring in a mat card from the mat pack, and I'm going to use this over here, a spot for my journaling, and probably a little bit of an embellishment cluster as well. Okay, let me scoot this aside and we'll go ahead and start working on this page. I kind of like how I placed this originally. I thought I was going to come back in and cut this in half and then put half at the top and half at the bottom, but I do like it down here. I feel like it's going to ground everything, ground my whole layout. So I'm just going to slide these down and kind of have these 2 photos overlapping. This is a trip we took to the Natural Bridge Cabins. I happen to have these really good photos from the inside. Most of my photos did not come out that well, so I was happy with just getting a couple of them to kind of highlight the event. So I'm going to have those kind of staggering over each other like that. And up here, I think I'm going to trim these down into 4x4s, just so that they'll fit here a little bit nicer, and it's not like a main focal photo like these down here. So I'm going to go ahead and trim these down. So I'll probably put these up here, And in fact, I might even just kind of be playful with those and kind of tilt those too. Since I have a lot of tilting going on everywhere else, why not tilt those? Okay, I still have my second border that I punched out using the border making cartridge, and I think I'm going to save it because I might build an embellishment cluster right here, and I think I'm only going to use part of that. So we're just going to lay that right here while we build the rest of the page. I want to bring in another border making cartridge. Let me slide this all out of the way. I love this new Scallop Hearts, and I'm looking for places to use it. So it has nothing to do with the caverns or the caves that we were in. Nothing more than the fact that I did love visiting Texas, and so why not bring some hearts in? And I'm going to bring in a scrap of navy blue cardstock, and I'm just going to place it right up here in the corner. I want just a small section of this. My main focus is, well, of course, my photos, but my main focus is my ancient key here. This I'm going to bring in just for a little bit of color and texture. So we don't need to always do a full 12 inches. We have the capability, and that's the great thing about the cartridges and yes, we can make a continuous 12-inch border, but we can also cheat the system a little, if you will, and we're going to make just a small punch out. Most of our border making cartridges are about 2 inches, and you can see within the 2 inches, that's going to be the print. So if I did this twice, I'll get 6 hearts. This one has a really cute little fallout, little blue hearts, so we'll save those in case we want to use those for embellishing. And then this is what I have here. This is what I was explaining is an edge punch, and it stays attached until we cut it off. And again, just like our inset, we can decide how much of the border do we want. Do we want it to be a big thick one or a little small one? I just want it to be a little bit that I could use for some tucking under my photo. And I'm just going to clean up my edge here. I'm going to do a 4-inch piece, and there we go. And I'm going to tuck it right over here. I think what I want to do is bring it so my hearts are kind of off the edge a little bit. There we go. It brought in some navy blue, and the hearts are just a little bit of texture. And the reason I say a little bit of texture is because around each heart, it's a scallop. So it's very cute and dainty, and it just adds a little bit extra pop of something up there that I think is going to be perfect for my layout. And then I'm going to bring in a little bit of navy to the other side. I think what I want to do is maybe rest my border on top of it a little bit. So let's cut another 4-inch piece. 4 by 3. Let's do a 4 by 3. We can always cut it down if we need to. Yeah, I think that might be a little too big. Let's do 2.5. There we go. And then I'm going to trim this to fit just across, a little bit hanging off on each one, maybe like one section. It'll look something like that. It's just my way of making what I like to call a companion piece on the other side. So I have my border here, and I'll put a little piece of the border over there, so I don't have to use a whole 12-inch border if I don't want to. And all along, I'm bringing in the same colors on each side of the layout. I think what I'm going to do at this point is bring in yet another very simple tool that Creative Memories has, and that is our custom cutting system. And I know this is probably a whole nother video. In fact, I did do a Keeping It Simple series based on circles. So if you haven't seen that, I will link that at the end. In fact, I'll link the whole entire Keeping It Simple playlist at the end, because that can keep you busy for a while. But there's a whole one on circles. I'm going to cut out 2 circles, one for each layout, and I'm going to bring in some of the dark sea green, and I'm going to go ahead and put you on fast forward, and I'll be right back. Okay, here's my circles. As you saw in the fast forward, I was using the biggest circle template, and I used red on the inside for this circle and green on the inside for the second circle. And the only reason I did 2 different sizes was to give a little bit of visual interest. And I have a lot more room over here, I feel like. So I'm going to probably do something like that. And then over here, I thought it would be better to have a little bit of a smaller circle. And it's going to go something like that. Yeah, I'm glad I chose the dark sea green. I wasn't too sure, but I think that it adds just the right amount of color to my layout. Okay, I am going to pause really quickly and get everything adhered down the way you see it now and come back and we'll be ready to do some embellishing. But before I do that, I would like to take this opportunity to ask you to please click that like button. You guys are so awesome at doing it. I really do appreciate each and every time you do that. And leave me comments. You guys are all so super sweet and I do appreciate it. It does help to spread any YouTuber's content. Anytime you push like, it does help to spread their content out and helps find other people who like to scrapbook just the way we do. So thank you for doing that. And I'm going to get my pictures adhered and I'll be right back. Okay, everything is adhered down and you can see I have a lot of angles going on in this layout. Not my typical, but I do love it. I think it's just playful and fun. So I did one thing different. When I came to over here, I feel like my circle's gonna be my embellishment cluster, and I didn't want to cover up my journaling, the lines for my journaling. So I put the circle here on this side instead, so that when I embellish, I can maybe embellish into the postcard part of the card here. And that's it. Other than that, I think everything stayed the same. If you're wondering, how did I get this adhered down and you're not familiar with Creative Memories repositionable tape, it's the best thing ever to put down these borders when there's a lot of holes and openings in the border itself. The tape runs right over it and you can't even see it or feel it afterward. So I wanted to make sure to mention that. Okay. So let's get on to embellishing. So when I do these simple layouts, I also like to keep my embellishments pretty simple as well. So I have the embellishments that came with the collection as well as my sticker sheets. Okay, so I'm gonna pick out a title. I like the one, I'm looking for something that says like adventure, like this one, or something, because this is definitely an adventure if you're going down underground in these caves. If you don't like to be in the dark, then this would be a hard one for you to do. You keep going down, down, down. You can see the stairs going down here, but it's nice and cool usually. So even in this Texas summer heat, we were nice and cool, but definitely an adventure. So over here, I'm going to bring in a couple tags and another little subtitle. I like this one that says go, see, and do, because that was definitely a topic on our vacation. We saw a lot of things in the short amount of time that we were there. So I'm gonna put this one kind of probably right around here. I'll embellish around it. And I love this yellow ticket, and I'd love to bring in some more yellow into my layout. So I'm going to take this one and tuck it right behind the circle. Let's pop that up. I adhered it a little too much there. And I'm just going to tuck that in. Now I do like the bottom that says adventure awaits, so I might trim off part of that so I can use that on another layout. That way I still have a cute little subtitle for another layout. I have a lot of room here, so I just kind of want to build upward out of my circle. There we go. And then even this, I think, could be coming up off of the circle as well. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my compass punch. This is great for traveling pages. We always need to know where we're at, which direction, how to get there. So I'm going to punch out a couple compasses, one for each side, and I'm going to use some avocado green. Okay, let's see, we'll put this one, let's bring this down like that. Put our compass kind of overlapping both the the rectangle of the mat card and the circle. And over here, I think that'll be perfect to just help cover up the edge of this Go See Do sticker. This actually did come from the sticker sheet, and it kind of helps cover up that little seam that was showing there. So that's perfect. Okay, let's see what else we have. I love the little stamps that came with this. So let's see what we have. I'm looking for like blues and even yellow. I like the little geotag. It's yellow and green. The plane's not really appropriate for this one, or the train, or the ship. We have lots of choices. Tickets. Okay, so let's see here. Well, maybe the plane isn't so bad, because we did take a plane to get to Texas, so maybe we need to do something like that over there, and then maybe the geotag on the other side. Tuck it in underneath the compass there. Yeah, that's cute. Bring everything down just a tad into our blue area. And then over here, let's see if we can find some more stamps. Here's one, a little car. Since we have the plane, we have the car, because once we got there, we did have to rent a car to get around the state. Let's move everything down just a tad. Let's see, we need a camera or something. Let's get a camera from over here, since we did have to have our cameras on this particular adventure, because that's the only way you could remember what was down there. Let me go ahead and pop this up onto some foam tape, and we'll put it right like that. So we have lots of little things going on in our cluster here. Super cute. We'll get those all arranged nicely when we go to adhere. I like it. Very simple, but we get to use all of our pretty embellishments. So let me get this adhered down, and we'll be back and do a couple finishing touches. Okay, hold on. There we go. Everything is adhered down, and I just want to come back in with a couple little enamel pieces. This collection has some super fun enamel pieces, so I just thought I would come back in through here and put a couple things. So I do love the arrows, and I think I'll go with this. It's kind of a dark blue, maybe. It almost looks purple, but I'm going to come back around here and decide. I'm thinking down here just to kind of point in to the rest of the layout. Now, when I came over here, I was counting. I have to see, like, I felt like it was missing something, and that's why I wanted to bring back in the finishing touches. So before I added the arrow, I had 1, 2, 3, 4. So I knew for sure I needed something else here on this cluster to kind of help my eye balance it out. So adding that last number 5 embellishment piece really helped out. Now over here, if you look at my cluster, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I already have 5. So if I'm going to add something, I probably want to add 2 of something. So I feel like these are a little bit big for what I have going on here already. So let me grab, I have my gems box here. This is where I put all the extras from all my other collections. They give us a lot. If it's not themed, like this one, if I had leftovers, I would put with my rest of any travel themes I would have. But these are just general dots, so I just put them all in this box so that I could easily access them and look for a color that I might like. I do like the green, and we do have some green here already, and we have our yellow, we have our blue. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead with the green, and I will put it up here. Let's see. Oops, maybe even up here. 1, I'm gonna do 2 since I want to keep with my odd numbers, and I'm gonna kind of go trickle it up like that. And that's it. I like it. There we go. Layout number 1 in our 8th round of Keeping It Simple Border Maker style is complete. And I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly did. I hope you come back for more, and I'll be back in a couple days with video number 2. And until then, I will go ahead and link the playlist to the entire Keeping It Simple series right down here, and then another fun layout for you up there to see. Okay, so thank you for joining me, and I'll see you real soon. Take care, and bye-bye.